Hello, everyone. This is Francine from Autumn is Here. Welcome to my show. Today, we're not going to have a guest, but we'll have a guest next week. But we want to talk a little bit about communication with our parents as they get older, especially if you become a caregiver. We want to make sure that we understand certain things to do. Sometimes it's really difficult depending on the situation. Now, I was able to visit one of my friend's parents, and they had gotten stricken with an illness. And when they told me, I was a little afraid to visit them because I didn't know how weak they were, or if I would be disturbing them, or what condition they would be in. And I went and I visited, and we had a wonderful conversation. We talked about memories, different things. We talked about current events. We talked about politics. We talked about their opinion. They were able to speak well, and it was great. And I was realizing it was because the illness was something that was physical and was affecting their body, but not their mind. And unfortunately, that's not true when it comes to dementia. Dementia is a different situation where if you are speaking with someone with dementia, they may not be able to go through the memories. They may not be able to recall different things, even recall their name. They may not be able to be up on current events or know what's going on in the world. So this conversation is different. And that actually affects you also, because you have to have a certain amount of listening skills and patience, because you're not sure exactly where they're at. And sometimes when you're speaking with someone who has dementia or any kind of memory challenges, sometimes they have a hard time finding the right words to say. Sometimes when you're listening, they're using the same words over and over again because they're comfortable. They're kind of safe words, and they're comfortable with that. And you'll realize that these things are happening. Sometimes they can't describe objects that are very simple objects that they know what a watch is, but they can't exactly put the words together to get to say the word watch, and they're trying to describe it to you. Sometimes they lose their train of thought while they're speaking with you, so you can't have a conversation about certain things, and because they don't remember, or they can't express it. Even if they remember, they can't verbalize it. Sometimes they get difficulty with the organization of words, where the logical organization is different and is off. There are times when they get to a point where they realize that their conversation is difficult, so they stop speaking, they speak less. And these are things that you have to deal with when someone has dementia. So, they also rely on gestures and words, and sometimes they're visual, and they'll try to look at you and try to figure it out, because their mind is not actually allowing the words to come out. So it makes it more difficult, not only for them, but it makes it difficult for you too. So there are things that will help the communication process in the early stages of dementia and or Alzheimer's. Sometimes the disease, it starts slowly, and it makes things more difficult with them to get the right words and things like that. So there are some things that you can do to help communicate with them better. Don't assume that the person's ability of communication, they can't communicate at all. Listen to them when they speak, and try to be patient with them. Don't try to automatically help them with getting the word right. Give them some time to get the word right. Don't exclude them for conversations. They still want to be a part. They still have something to say. Just try to be patient, and whoever is with you, let them know to just try to be patient and give them time for that, so they can add something to the conversation. Speak directly to the person, rather than if they're with somebody else and you ask them, "Oh, well, how's your dad doing today?" Well, if your dad is right there, ask your dad. Ask them. When in the early stages, you don't know how much they can remember, how much they can't remember, how confused they are. So give them a chance. Give them a chance so they can still feel valued, and they can still participate in conversations and things like that. Take the time to listen to them and as they express their thoughts and their feelings, and encourage them to express their thoughts and their feelings. This gives you a way to understanding where they're at this particular time. Give the person time to respond. And try not to interrupt them, because that makes them a little bit more frustrated unless they ask for help. You don't want to make them frustrated and make the situation worse. Ask the person as comfortable as possible if they need help. If you see that they're struggling with something, even doing a task, ask them calmly if they need help. Don't assume that they need help and just take over, because they're going to want to do it and that'll make them frustrated. So please consider that when you're speaking to them, when you're trying to communicate with them, when you're trying to get things done, like getting them dressed. Sometimes allow them to do some of it also. Maybe put on their shoes or put on their jacket. You don't want them to feel like they're helpless. And it's okay sometimes, just to relax with them, listen to them, and be honest with them and friendly with them. Stay there. They need the support. They don't want to feel like you're dismissing them. So when you have dementia, you're not sure exactly where they are. The good thing is try to understand the disease a little bit more, but still you don't know the exact stage that they are. So you try to communicate with them by listening a little bit more and being patient. Now, in the middle stage of dementia, sometimes this part is a longer period of time where they go through different things, and it lasts long because this is a progressive disease, and sometimes it takes a long time, and it's you have more difficulty communicating with them, and it's going to be a point where you're going to have to get used to certain things that you're going to have to do. Try to engage with them on a one-on-one conversation and in a quiet atmosphere, so they don't get unraveled and frustrated. Make sure it's a quiet atmosphere. Try to engage with them one-on-one. Talk to them directly. Speak to them slowly and clearly. And look at them. Maintain eye contact. Look at them so they know that you care about them, that you care about what they're saying, and that you're really trying to. Now, I'm sure this is sometimes hard on a caregiver, because you may be trying to get some tasks done or get some things done, and it's you have to be patient with them, and you're trying to include them, but it's really difficult to try to understand them and allow them to express themselves. But in the middle stage, it's something that you kind of have to get used to, because this is the longest stage. And if you put some things in place and you get used to it, you know how to react to them. You know how to give them their space. You know how to calm them down. So this is a time where you're gonna practice these things, but these are things you're gonna use for a long period of time. Give them plenty of time to respond. Things are slowing down with them. Give them plenty of time to respond and be patient, and reassure them. Keep reassuring them and encourage them to explain their thoughts and explain themselves. Make sure that you're asking one question at a time so they don't get confused. Multiple things confuse them. A lot of things that are going on at one time confuse them. A lot of noise, a lot of colors, a lot of things at once will confuse them, and then you may not be able to get the answers that you need. And sometimes they may shut down. So you don't want them to do that. So ask them one question at a time, and try to ask them yes or no questions so it can be clear. Try not to ask them, in general, what do you want to do today? Well, that's an open-ended question. Would you like to go outside today? Yes, no, they can say that. Would you like to have something to drink? That's in general. If you say, would you like to have a cup of tea? That's straightforward. They can answer that, and it'll make it easier for you. Be specific in what you ask them. This takes a lot of conscious awareness for you, and patience, but conscious awareness to be aware of what you say and what they can respond to easily, which will make it simpler for you and avoid any kind of conflicts and frustration. Try not to correct them all the time. If they say something wrong, you understand the situation, you understand what they're going through. Try not to criticize, try not to correct them. Let them go through and say it, and then repeat it clearly. And then maybe they can say the right words or the right thing that they're trying to do. So avoid arguing with them. I know sometimes it's frustrating. Sometimes they're not cooperative, and it's frustrating not only for them but for you. But try to avoid arguing with them. Step away, take a breather. Try to do it another way. Be creative in you trying to get them to respond to you. If you're trying to get them to do something, think of a creative way. Maybe let someone else come in and ask. Sometimes that used to help with me and my situation. If someone else asked, they would do it. But if I asked them to do something, they wouldn't do it. My mom. If I asked my mom to do something, she wouldn't do it. But someone else, and she would respond, she would be fine. So sometimes you have to have kind of like a tag team and have somebody else come in and ask them to do something that you really need them to do. Make sure if you asking them to do something, give them clear step-by-step instructions on how to do it, one thing at a time. And if they can handle it and handle more things, then that's fine. But if they can't, it's okay. Try not to overwhelm them with a lot of conversation, a lot of speech, a lot of questions. Try not to overwhelm them. Sometimes when we talk to people who have memory lapse, it's some things that that they would never forget. There's no way they would forget this. And you'll ask them something and they'll say they forgot. And you'll say, no, I know you remember. I know you remember when we went there. You remember this, you remember that. That's too much pressure for them. And sometimes that makes them retreat. And sometimes that puts them in a bad way. It makes them feel like it makes them feel like they're not well. And that's not where you want them to be. So if they can't remember, if it's something really simple, if it's something that they would always remember, they always like to do, and you remember you like to do that, if they say they don't remember, leave it at that. Meet them where they're at, leave it at that. You could give them visual clues. You can show them pictures, things like that, so they can remember. That will help also. Instead of them getting frustrated, you can give them a picture of it, wherever they've been, amusement park, whatever you wanted to talk about. And sometimes, writing notes helps. Sometimes they can't understand when you speak. It doesn't really translate. And if it doesn't translate, if you write notes and you write clear notes, then they might be able to communicate with you and understand what you want them to do, and it may work out better. So just try that. Sometimes people don't try that, don't think about doing that, but sometimes try that, because sometimes verbally they get confused when they're trying to translate it in their brain. It's just not working. And then you have, the late stages of dementia, Alzheimer's, which is very, very severe, and that is more difficult because it's kind of like they're always going to be in that loop of where they don't understand. It's not, sometimes in the early stages and the moderate stages, you can get a glimpse of who they were. You can get a good conversation out of them. Sometimes they can remember certain things, but when they're in the severe stage, they can't. And it makes it even more harder for you. So in that stage, you really have to talk to them directly, like be in front of them when you're talking to them. Identify yourself, because at that point, they may not recognize you or recognize you right away. So always identify yourself. Always identify the person that's in the group or with you. Say their name, see if they remember. If they don't, they may be okay with not remembering, at this point, but make sure you talk to them directly and be in front of them so they can see you. Encourage them with nonverbal communication. You don't have to understand what the person is trying to say. Ask him or her to point to or gesture to it. This way, if they do that, you can still communicate. And if they get comfortable with doing that, that may work for both of you. Use touch and sight and sound and smell and taste. Use these things to help them to communicate with you. Make sure that you're considering their feelings and their words and the things that they say. Be sensitive to them, especially in this state, because at this point they may just always be in a place where they don't remember, and they don't remember more things, which will frustrate them more. So try to make sure that consider their feelings, consider their emotions as they're expressing themselves. Sometimes, they may just cry just because. Allow them to, sometimes, they react differently. They'll just clam up, be quiet, and don't try to force them to speak. Maybe it's just emotion, something happened and in their mind, what you did might have been very simple, but in their mind it was a big deal. It translated different to them. Give them their moment. Allow them to be where they're at for the moment, and you stay still until you can get a comfortable place where you can speak to them, where you can figure out what's going on, express directly to them, talk directly to them, treat the person always with dignity and respect, whether they're your parent, whether they're somebody in a facility, and you're a caregiver to somebody. Treat them with dignity and respect. They are still in there. They are still a person. Please avoid talking down to people. We say this, and I know that people say, well, of course I would never do that. But sometimes when you are so burdened with this situation where this person is not themselves, it's so frustrating that you may slip and you may talk down to them, and you may talk to them in a way that you would normally talk to them. And it's okay. It's okay. Catch yourself and get back on track. Even if you don't know what to say, just kind of reassure them, smile at them, be friendly, be pleasant. And it's okay to laugh. Sometimes some of these things, it may seem like it's just such a terrible situation that you can't laugh. But there are sometimes they do things and it's comical. It's comical, and it's where you're at. If you accept where they're at and you accept what's going on and you accept this disease and you understand it, sometimes you can still have some good moments. You can still have some good laughs. Don't be afraid to laugh. Don't be afraid to joke with them. Just allow them to still enjoy some parts of life. Let them look at things that are going to make them laugh, pictures, shows, whatever it is. It's okay to still laugh. Sometimes that helps going through this, not only for the person, but for you as a caregiver. It helps you just to have a laugh sometimes. And, sometimes you may have to just get together without them, with the family, and go over the things that happen, and then you'll have a good laugh with your family. I'm not saying laughing at them. I'm saying sometimes you got to laugh so you won't cry. So, just keep that in mind. One of the also other things I want to say is that, sometimes we do this, and we do this on our own because we want to, we know we're the person and we have to do it. But if you have children, show your children, take your children with you when you're taking care of your parent. Show them what you're doing. Show them how to treat them. Show them that it's not that easy. It's difficult, show them now and train them now. So maybe later in the future, if they can help you out, or, they may need to use it, use what they learned on you if you got ill or something like that. But it teaches them compassion. It teaches them that this is a real thing. And this is just another way of showing love. So please, if you have children, include your children when you're caring for your parent. Include your children when they're a situation like this, and talk to them and teach them how to care for their loved one also. Okay, that is my show today. I thank you for listening. I appreciate you listening, and I'll see you next Sunday. Good night.